Oh, man.
Big noise.
And we off. All right, we got to start with the most recent order of business. We talked the other day, a couple days ago, about your summer coaching experience up there in Missouri. I don't even know the name of the event, what it was catered to, man. Just take me through that whole experience and how you ended up being able to be a part of it.
The event's called the NCAA Midwest Showcase, and so
annual thing.
Yes, it is.
Right.
They did it once before COVID,
Yeah.
so I think it's been 2 years since they've actually done it, but they did it again this year. And so I'm good friends with Bobby Allison, head coach over at Memorial,
Yeah.
and he's the one that kind of puts it together. And so me and him were talking, and he was like, "Hey, come coach one of the teams," and I was like, "Oh man, I'd be glad to," And so what it is, this is in Kansas City, Missouri, and we have 4 Oklahoma teams, and there was Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas. What was it? Nebraska, Iowa, and so we just drafted the teams, went over to Tulsa Memorial and all the coaches that were coaching, and we drafted teams. And I was blessed to have a really good team, some really good players from Oklahoma. I had Terry McMorris from Dale City, Jareth from Tulsa Memorial. I had a couple kids from Carl Albert, Jordan England, Quincy Hopkins. I had Keontae Trumbull that's at Putnam City West now. Kid from Southeast, Colin Edwards from Sapulpa. And so we went down there. It's 80 Division I and Division II coaches in the building watching us play.
Straight NCAA.
Straight NCAA, and it's all about the kids playing. There's no timeouts. You got to make 3 passes in the half court. If it's in transition, you can go play. It's great basketball. Kids were able to go play in front of 80 coaches, and my job was just get out there and try to put them in a position to be successful. And try to kid get it going. We try to highlight him, so he could go get a scholarship. And so it's one of the best events, probably the best event that I've been to. Yeah.
As a fan or a coach?
As a fan or a coach,
it
was big time. From the other states to our state, and we represented really well. Going down there, our kids played extremely well, so it was fun.
I had a couple questions on that. So when it was draft night, was it just the coaches present or were the players present too?
No, it was just the coaches.
Okay.
Bobby was kind of like the GM of the whole thing.
GM.
And if you ever play fantasy football, it's kind of like fantasy football.
All right.
I had the number 1 pick.
It
and
just keeps getting better for you.
He had all the players on the board.
Right.
And we drafted our teams, and he did a really good job of, because he had been before, I had never been, of knowing kind of what you needed as far as size. Because sometimes we lack size compared to other states. So making sure we had big guys, making sure we had the guards, making sure we had the right fit, not just maybe all the most talented players, but players that fit well together.
A little bit of a balance, huh?
Yeah. So we kind of did a little snake draft. If you had the last pick, you got 2 picks, and you worked your way back up. So that was a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you say, Josh? Your number one pick, that's a hell of a question. Who's your number one pick?
Well, my number 1 pick was David Castillo.
Who was unavailable?
He was unavailable because he was with the Team USA. And I was going back and forth from Castillo or Brandon Garrison, but I'm a point guard, so I had to go with the PG. Yeah.
PG. Man, listen. Here's the deal. Here's another thing. How challenging, if at all, was it to coach that level of talent? And where I'm coming from with that question is, you know how it is coaching, man. School ball, you get your pick. You don't get your pick of the litter. You get who you have, and they're at different levels. And sometimes you gotta gear. I don't want to say dumb down, but you gotta gear your approach to what you have. But then you got top level, high caliber guys all on one team who are the man, right?
Definitely.
On their high school teams. How do you coach them? Was it any different? Did you have to speak a different language?
Well, I thought it would be challenging a little bit, to get the talent to mesh, to see if guys were going to try to dominate the ball and things like that. And it was really the total opposite. It was easy, But what made it easy was the kids that I had. I mean, these kids were humble. They were respectful. They were, "Coach, thanks for coaching me. Coach, what would you like me to do?" And there's high basketball IQ, because we didn't really practice. We had one practice, and maybe half of the team was there, because you had kids from a little bit everywhere. So we went and showed up. We had a 30-minute practice before we played. I showed them an inbounds play. I showed them a set, and they went out and ran that stuff perfect. And it was really just coaching on the fly.
Yeah.
A kid would get hot, hey, pass it here, go set a pin down, come off, and they would just go do it. I had 8 players on the team, so we just
Perfect
rotated.
number, by the way.
Perfect number. Rotated guys in and out, and no attitudes, none of that. Guys played together. They bought into what we were telling them, so they really made my job easy. I mean, we just really kind of sit back and let them do their thing and not get in the way.
Right,
know.
Which that seems easy, but sometimes we've seen some people overdo it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm probably guilty of overdoing it sometimes too. Like, I don't need the clipboard every time. Let me go and leave that down.
Yeah.
Did you have any help, or were you one-man show?
No, my assistant coach Rod Hall was with me. And he's my energy guy.
Yeah,
hey, go get him going, man. Go get him hyped up. And he's all about that, and he has a good basketball mind as well. So it was easy, man. And then the kids made it easy. Shout out to Keontae Tramble that's at PC West. That kid kind of took a leadership role. I showed those kids, hey, this is what y'all want y'all to do when y'all warm up. I never had to say another word. He took control. He was kind of the leader of that group. And shout out to the other kids for allowing him to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just about they bought into hey, we're down here to represent Oklahoma. They didn't really buy into, I got to go get a scholarship, even though we know that's what we were there for.
That's the ultimate goal.
They bought into, hey, we're going to go out here, we're going to compete, we want to win, we want to represent Oklahoma, and they really bought into that, and you could tell by the way that they played, and not just my team, but all the teams that went, because there were 3 other Oklahoma teams as well that went, and all of them played really well.
Realizing what time it is.
Oh, yeah.
And the interesting thing about what you said is, like, we fight so much with our guys these days, and girls too, if you're coaching girls, on just somebody stepping up and taking the reins to be that voice, or to be somebody that's giving direction besides just the coaches.
Definitely.
And I feel like that gets lost sometimes. So that was refreshing to hear that. And he not the oldest cat in the world. He just getting ready to be a junior.
Yeah,
right?
just getting ready to be a junior.
Man.
So he's definitely has some great leadership skills.
Good. And did those guys defend, man? Were they playing defense? 'Cause you know how it is.
Oh yeah, I definitely know how it is. But they bought into that as well, know. And I just told them, hey, the better we play defense, we get to go have fun on the offensive end of the floor.
Facts.
And they bought into that. And there was some rules to it. There was no zone defense.
I love
that. You weren't supposed to trap. It was just straight man to man. And we picked up full sun, we picked up half court, we got in the passing lanes, and they just bought in and played really well, and shout out to all their high school coaches too, because you can tell that those kids have been coached up.
Yeah, they've been taught.
Yeah, definitely.
So in a situation like that, would they be switching those ball screens, or were they showing and getting back? And how was that happening?
We switched everything.
There you go.
We had
interchangeable group.
We had they were just interchangeable to from 6'2" to 6'4" to 6'6", 6'7", 6'7". We're just gonna switch everything, and they did it.
Yeah, let's go get it done.
Yeah, definitely.
You told me a couple of months ago, before and this was maybe back in April. You said that you were very excited about taking your son Trey with you, just to be on hand and witness everything. What did he learn?
Oh, learned a lot. I mean, when Keontae Tramble was just the leadership skills that he seen, I said, did you see the way he just kind of took over that huddle? Pay attention to those things, and then watch the game. Watch how these guys make the right basketball play. You know what I mean? They can shoot it, they can defend, they can score on all 3 levels. This is what you're trying to get to. This is what you're getting ready to compete against.
He's headed to high school.
Yeah, he's an incoming freshman, so it was great for him to be able to be around those high-level players and kind of just see how they move, even off the court, the confidence that they have, the preparation before the game. I try to show him that, hey, it's levels to this, and these are some of the top players in Oklahoma. So basketball is a copycat sport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're not that kid, but you can take some things from him, So it was definitely a good experience for him.
How is it? That's a great segue, by the way. How is it for you to coach your son, man?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
A lot of people have came up to me and they're like, oh man, you getting ready to coach your son, that's gonna be tough. It's not tough for me.
Right. And you've coached him before now, though, right?
Yeah, I've coached him pretty much his whole life, and he's actually playing for you and
True.
Derek Lewis now, in the summer, and that's been great as well. But I've coached him all the way up until then, and we've had our moments, just like with any player, though.
Right.
But I think the advantage that he has and that I have is he's seen me coach really talented kids here at Sapulpa, like Julian Smith,
right,
like Cameron Dennis, and he see me be all over them. you know, and so it's a part of it, you know, and so he can take that, and he knows it's about not the tone of my voice, but it's about the message.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm super excited about coaching him, you know, and when we leave the basketball court, yeah, we talk about basketball still, but it's not me just always on his case. We're just talking basketball as well as other things, you know, so we try to keep that balance. And it can be tough, you know, but I'm super excited about coaching him, and he's super excited about playing for me. He tells me he wants to play for me.
Oh, he's told you that before?
Oh, yeah.
Man, that's got to be dope, man.
Yeah,
that's got to feel good.
Definitely. So, yeah, I'm going to have him for 4 years, and it's going to be exciting.
And he's pretty good too, man. He been in the mix for quite some time, and you can just tell a player that's been around it and in it for quite some time. He got a different type of polish about his game. You know what I mean? And so, without revealing all the tricks, you foresee him getting in the mix with the big dogs this coming year?
Oh yeah, definitely.
At the varsity level?
He's already in the mix this summer. You know, I mean, you know, it's people. Oh, are you gonna play your son? Because you know, it can be hard. You know, a coach's kid and all of that.
Right.
But if he has earned it, then I'm gonna play him, because I would be cheating him if I held him back just because he's my son.
Right.
So I don't treat him like that when he's out here. He calls me Coach Bruner.
Straight
you
up.
know, out here on the basketball floor.
Did you tell him to, or he just does
No,
that?
I didn't say, and I was curious how that would work.
Right.
So I just didn't say anything.
Yeah,
you
let him
know,
figure it out.
Is he gonna call me Dad? Is he gonna call me Coach Bruner? He calls me Coach Bruner out here. You know, even in the car the other day, he was like, Coach Bruner, and I was like, why are you still calling me Coach Bruner?
Yeah. We can flip that switch
Yeah, but I like that, you know, because now he's calling me Coach Bruner. So now, hey, you're my player. You're not my son right now. You know what I mean? I'm gonna coach you the way I coach everybody else, and if you deserve to be out here, you're gonna be out here. You know, if you don't, you coming out just like anybody else is coming out.
Yeah.
You know, but he's earned so far, you know, the right to be out there on the floor and helping this Sapulpa basketball team.
Was that a conscious decision that you made to not talk as much about basketball once y'all leave the gym? Was that something that you just always, it was natural for you? You just turn it off and turn it off?
No, I've gotten better at it.
Oh,
you know, when he was younger, I was a little bit more on him. You know, and I think some of it was necessary.
Yeah.
You know, now as he's gotten better, you know, now we can talk more of a high level of basketball. And so now it may not be, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. It's, why did you do this? What should you have done? And we can have, you know, a conversation like that. And then it is constitute like, all right, let me cut the basketball off. You know what I mean? And let's talk about something else, you know, because I'm basketball all day long.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
I'm coaching it, I'm watching it, I'm living it, I'm breathing it.
Yeah, we nerds, man.
Yeah, and so I try to, you know, it's hard though.
Yeah.
So.
And then you got two daughters as well, and they both are athletes. Am I right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Man, what's their journey been like? You know what I mean? How they loving it?
Theirs hasn't been as hardcore as his. I mean, he's in the gym all the time. You know, and some of that is from me. Some of that is him wanting it. My daughters haven't been that way so much, but they're starting to get more like that. You know, my middle daughter, Ramaya, she's going to be an 8th grader here, and she's just starting to get serious. You know, she's playing for the Lady Ballers with Coach Fred.
Yeah.
And she's been playing all summer. She's getting better. She's starting to like it, you know, and just trying to teach them a work ethic. Now, my little one, she loves it. You know, she plays for Coach Walker, Jimmy Walker.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Jimmy, man. That dude, he can coach anybody from babies all the way up.
He will coach anybody. He called me the other day and said, hey, I need you to get Riley ready. You know, we're getting ready to play. And she's like, I want to play for Coach Walker, and I don't want to play no other sport but basketball.
Straight up.
Already, 7 years old. You know, and I'm like, well, we probably need to try some other things.
Yeah.
You know,
I like how you got your path carved out, but
she was in basketball camp today with all boys and her. She was the only girl.
Didn't matter.
You know, didn't matter. She out there mixing it up.
Oh,
you
that's
know,
what's
so
up, man.
we're definitely a basketball family.
I feel that. Now, speaking of fam, your wife, and I remember you told me one of her statements that she made to Trey, talking about, listen, I don't care what you do basketball wise. You better make sure them books are straight.
Oh, yeah.
What's her role in the whole Bruner operation, man, with all these student athletes that y'all bringing up?
It's that she's the one, you know, and not that I don't care about grades,
Of
but
course.
she's on them about it. You know, I mean, from the moment they've been little till all the way through, they're at the table, and you better be able to do this on your books, and I want straight A's, and it ain't nothing else. You know, B's aren't acceptable to her.
We ain't negotiating.
And the same way I can be hard in basketball and yell at you and push, she the same way when it comes to academics, which it balances really well. You know, so I'm kind of the sports part, and she's the academics part, and it works really well. But she's a sports person too.
Yeah.
You know, but she's like, you can do that, but these academics are gonna come first. She tells our 3 kids all the time, I want a dentist, a lawyer, and a doctor.
Straight up.
Straight up. She said it last night.
Yeah.
You know, she goes, if you make it to the NBA, that's fine, but I want you to be a dentist. That's what she told my son last night. I want a dentist.
Hey, listen, I can dig it, because you know the way you do anything is the way you're gonna do everything.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. But how far back do you and her go?
We met in college.
Is that right?
Yeah, met in college at Bacone, and man, she was walking across there, you know,
Yeah.
and seen that pretty little thing.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You know,
I already know how you coming.
But honestly, what attracted me to her, besides her, that she's a beautiful person,
Right.
is she's just a beautiful person, all inside and out.
Yeah.
You know, she was on the basketball team. She was a cheerleader. She was on the school newspaper. You know, she did plays. You know, and she was a Christian girl. You know what I mean? And so we just started talking in college, and you know, we still rocking till today.
Rocking to this day. That's
Oh,
dope,
yeah.
man. So how did it work? Did you step to it right then when you saw her, or you gave it a minute?
Well, she might tell you a different story.
Right.
But here's the truth.
Here's the truth. Let me get the truth.
Yeah, we out. It's college, you know.
Yeah.
One of her friends comes up. She goes, "My friend think you're cute," and I was like, "Who?" And she pointed to her. Well, I had seen her when she walked in.
Right.
You know, and so I went over there, started talking to her. You know, and I said, "Would you like a drink?"
There you go.
She goes, "I don't drink."
All right.
And I said, "You want a water?" So I buy her a water. This was August 30th,
Man.
because my birthday is August 31st.
All right.
And so, you know, I think I got game or whatever. And I said, the only thing I want for my birthday, which is tomorrow, is your phone number. You know, wasn't no Snapchat and
None of
all
that.
of that stuff.
Direct.
I need those 7 digits. So she gave me a number, you know, and we started just talking and hanging out, you know, and still together today.
Just built, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That's dope, man. I love to hear that, man. I had my notes right here. I was like, yeah, we're going to get to this, we're going to get to that, we're going to get to this, we're going to get to that. Because I happen to know your fam, and they all good people.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate that.
And the other side of it, the relationship with your parents,
Mm-hmm.
man. Because I see them stepping out, you know, showing their faces, coming to watch Trey play. Not just here and there. I see them all the time, it seems like.
Oh, yeah.
So how was it coming up, you as a kid, under their leadership?
Oh, man, I got the best parents in the world.
Yeah.
You know, my dad's always been there. My mom's always been there. You know, old school family, you know, family dinner at home. You know
Everybody
what
at the
I mean?
table.
Yeah, everybody's at the table. It's home cooking, you know. My mom's known for her famous fried chicken.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I just watched my mom, you know, and I try to do some of those things that I seen her do. I got 4 or 5 boys at my house right now, and I'm feeding them because that's what I seen my mom do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody knew they could come to my house and the door was open. She fed my friends. You know, they was always down there. And then my dad, he's still big in the community in Sapulpa. You know, he was our little league football coach back in the day. You know what I mean?
That part I didn't know.
Yeah, he runs the rec center here in town. So he's got his hands on pretty much all the kids in the community. You know, and they've always respected him. And one thing about my dad that I didn't realize till I got older, you know, is I was always protected because of him. I mean, I had friends that went out and smoked and drank and all of that stuff.
Same game.
Yeah, but because they knew who my dad was, whether they were scared of him or whether it was a respect thing, they wasn't gonna. I couldn't go do that stuff with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then they follow us everywhere we go. You know, like they're my biggest fans here at the Coach at Sapulpa. But even when I wasn't here, when I was at Tahlequah and other places, they were still there. You know what I mean? And it's now coming home, it's on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
You know, my mom is cooking food for the players. You know, she getting the crowd going in the stands. You know, just whatever you need. We do study hall twice a week here. And after the study halls, my mom would have a meal ready for them to go home after they done did study hall. You know, my dad gonna come out here and drop some knowledge on them and talk to them. You know, and I can call them, it's just whatever I need them to do, they're gonna do it. You know, because they care about the kids. I'm their son, so they're gonna help me. They want me to be successful, but they love Sapulpa too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they want to see the program be successful because they go not only to my boys' basketball games, they're at the girls' games. They'll go to baseball games, football games. I mean, they're just true Sapulpa Chiefs.
Oh, it's
fans.
in them.
Oh yeah, it's definitely in them.
That's hard, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so your siblings, how many of y'all is it?
3.
Three.
Well, I had 2 sisters.
2 sisters.
One of my sisters passed away.
Yeah.
She was a good big time basketball player here, Misty Bruner. And she was class of 97 here. And then my sister, Shonda Anderson, lives down in Denton, Texas. She's my oldest sister.
So
So
you're
I got
baby
2
of
older
both.
sisters, and I'm the baby.
Man, what was that like, being the only boy, besides your pops,
Yeah.
and then having siblings, sisters that were older than you? Were they protective on you, or were they on your butt all the time? How did that go?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both?
You know, they beat me up my middle sister beat me up all the time, you know. But couldn't nobody else mess with me.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And but yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. You know, I had 2 older sisters. They were great big sisters. You know what I mean? And they just, to this day, I can call my older sister. And I mean, you know, we're playing with Trey Young Elite, and we in Texas a lot.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to stay with my big sister,
Yep.
you know, because she down there.
The last time we were in Dallas, that's what you said.
Yeah.
You say, I'm about to go over there and kick with the sis and the brother-in-law.
Yeah, definitely. So I had a great childhood growing up with my sisters, man. They took care of me, you know what I mean, and protected me until I knew I was old enough to, you know, kind of get on my own a little bit.
You got it now.
Yeah, and they still will try today. You know,
Yeah,
my
see?
older sister, she still think I'm still a little brother, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But like, girl, I'm a grown man.
Grown now.
Yeah.
Watch how you talk to me now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your athletic journey, man. You mentioned a little something about playing Little League football. All right, so I was going to ask, was it always basketball? But it sounds like it was at least one other sport. Was that all you did, football and basketball growing up?
Yeah, I didn't make it in baseball very long.
Oh, you gave it a shot, though?
Yeah, T-ball, and I was done.
Golly.
You know, just wasn't my thing.
I feel
you
it.
know, but I always played football growing up, football and basketball, and probably was a better football player than I was basketball. But you know how it is, you get older, you didn't realize that then, knowing what you know now, but I loved basketball. Always have loved basketball.
That was always the first?
Always the first love. I mean, growing up in Sapulpa, when I was young, Booker T. Washington Rec Center, it used to go down up there every day. You know, I mean, it was great basketball players that came through there. You know what I mean? From Ray Poindexter to Cody Hobson, Larry Heath, you know, all these guys would come through and play. Tulsa guys would come in and play against the Sapulpa guys. You know, on Saturdays, you know, everybody would come up there to hoop. You'd have guys come from Beggs, guys come from Tulsa, and the Sapulpa guys, and it was competition. And growing up, we didn't get to get on the court, you know, when those older guys were playing. So we sit on the side and watch. And they would play all the way until it's time for the rec center to close. We get like an hour to go out there, the young guys, and so it made us work on our game. So now I want to get picked up. And when I get picked up, one thing, that's what I learned, I got to be able to shoot a little bit.
That's right.
And I remember the first time I got out there and I made a few shots and they started picking me a little bit, you know, and now you earning your stripes, you know what I mean, and getting to play. And so that's where I really fell in love with basketball, was at that rec center. You know, people like Larry Heat took me under his wing basketball-wise, and, you know, hey, we're going to go up here and we're going to work out. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You know what I mean? And then just watching those guys, I looked up to Cody Hobson and Ray Poindexter and those guys, and watching them play, you know, it just made me fall in love with the game.
Well, do you think it was something that guys like Heath saw in you to make him put you under his wing? Or was it something that you said, like, man, I want to be around? Because I always wonder, what is it? Because we know what it is when we see it in a player. Like, okay, he got it. I can't necessarily tell you what it is, but he got it. You know what I mean? I wonder what it was that he saw in you.
I think it was that, him seeing something in us, because, you know, he didn't do it with everybody. He was willing to do it with everybody, but there was a few guys that he would keep with him, you know what I mean? And I was one of those guys, because I think he seen something in us. He seen the potential. He seen that we loved the game. We always in the gym, and he was just giving back to his community that, you know, did the same thing for him. You know, he ran basketball camps every summer, and we would always go to the Larry Heat Camp of Champions. Couldn't wait for that all summer. You know, I'm trying to be MVP this year at the camp. You know what I mean? And that was like one of the big things that we look forward to, you know, because it wasn't a whole bunch to do. You know, and so, people like a guy named Pappy Jackson, you know, he was up at the rec center, and we would meet him up there every like Wednesday. And he knew that to draw us in, he had to have some food. You know,
for sure.
And so he would have pizza, or he would have donuts, you know, and he would talk to us and just drop knowledge to us. But then he would take us to Tulsa and play against some of the Tulsa kids in the summer, or he would bring those kids over here to play, you know. And you don't realize that stuff when you're young, but now you look back on it like, man, he was keeping us out of trouble. You know, he was helping us, you know, and things like that. So I think they were just giving back to the community as well as seeing something in us.
And listen, when you got something to look forward to as a youngster, that can cover a lot of ground.
That
can keep you out of a whole lot of stuff. And the fact that y'all didn't leave the gym when you said the elders came in there, hey, youngsters, y'all got to sit aside. Imagine that happening today. You know what I mean? Them kids be gone.
They gone.
But y'all stayed, watched the show, picked up, learned something, and then on the back end we get to hoop too. Bet.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's always something you can learn. I'm still like that to this day.
Yeah.
You know, you can never know everything about anything. You know what I mean? And especially basketball. You know, I'm watching them, and I'm gonna do that move that I seen Pogo Van do. They used to call him Pogo the Creator Van. You know, and I'm watching him. You know, and I'm gonna do that move when I play against you.
Straight
You
up.
know what I mean? And
See if you
just
can handle
learning. Yeah.
So what was your high school basketball journey like? You right here, support in your hometown. When did you start to figure it out? That's a better question, because I was a late bloomer, so I want to know how you were.
I would say, well, my journey was great here.
Yeah.
You know, played in 2 state tournaments.
Yeah.
We went to 3 state tournaments in a row. But when I would say I really started figuring out would be my sophomore year. You know, I didn't play early as a freshman or anything like that. I was on the freshman team.
Right.
And they made it to the state tournament when I was a freshman. You know, so I was coming into my next year to a really good team. You know, David Marshall was a really good player here. We had Aaron and David Baker. They were twins, both about 6'4". You know, Brian Carwell, he was a grade above me. He was 6'9", 6'10", and he was a big time player. You know, he could have went to D1 in basketball pretty much anywhere he wanted to go. He was also a big time baseball player and ended up going that route and getting signed to the major leagues. You know, so I came
I think
into
you made the right decision.
Yeah, oh yeah. But I came into a talented team, and so I had always been taught, you know, defense. So that was my ticket to get to play, because I couldn't really shoot that great, you know. But going in, and I had some seniors that were playing above me, and I didn't verbalize it, but in my mind, I knew I was better than them.
Yeah.
You know, but I came off the bench. You know, I'm not gonna complain. I'm gonna continue to work. You know, well, we were playing against Tulsa Central in the Tournament of Champions.
Which year?
This was my sophomore year, so this would have been 98.
98, okay. So,
Yeah, this would have been 98. And
the year after they won it.
yeah, and we're playing against Tulsa Central in the championship of the Tournament of Champions, and that was probably my best game as a sophomore. You know, playing defense, putting me on JoJo Knowles, you know, and I remember I guarded Demetrius Gatewood a lot, you know, and he could go. You know, he could go.
I hear the legend of it all the time.
Did really well, scored like 10, 12 points that game, you know, played real confident, and from then on I started starting my sophomore year, you know, and so I tell kids all the time that, you know, never complain about playing time, because as a player, I've been in every position that you could be in. You know, I've been on the bench, I've been the best player on the team, I've been, you know, right in the pack or whatever. I've played a lot, played a little. So whenever you in your feelings, I understand.
I've been there.
You know, I've been there. But, you know, my high school career was amazing, you know, to be able to play in the state tournament. And Tom Willock was my head coach. James Womack was my assistant coach, you know, and those guys put a lot of confidence into me. As Larry Heat was on the staff as well. And so, and he put the ultimate confidence in me, you know. But playing in the state tournament for 2 years, playing against great teams, you know, we beat Tulsa Memorial to go to the state tournament my junior year, you know, and this is the kind of confidence that my coaches put in me in high school. We watching film. I mean, we've been in practice for like ever. You know, it's probably 6 o'clock. Practice started at 1:10. We watching film for like an hour and a half, you know, and I'm in there
football
like,
hours,
oh man, I'm like, oh man. Well, Larry Heat is a coach. He falls asleep. The head coach goes off on him, right? Coach Willock goes off on him, and he goes, man, I don't know why y'all watching all this film. I'll tell you what you got to do. He goes, put Bruner on Jason Parker. I'll get them ready. We'll win the game.
Just like that.
Just like that. And they was like, okay. And so he got me ready.
Right.
You know, long story short, I do well. Guard Jason Parker, who was top 100 at that time.
Yeah.
You know, actually, that was my sophomore year, because we were both sophomores, and I think he scores like 6 points, you know, because that was my thing, was defense.
Yeah.
And we were able to go to the state tournament, but just the confidence that Coach Heath put into me to be able to go do that, you know what I mean? So, and then the fans at Sapulpa, and it still is to this day. They travel, they follow you.
Yep.
You know,
They
the community supports you. You know, I mean, we went to the state tournament. I think it was my junior year, and they shut school down. You know, we had an early game, they shut school down. I mean, we going to the elementaries and we signing autographs, you know what I mean?
Oh, this some movie type stuff right here.
You get police escort out of town.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we still do that to this day if you make the state tournament. You know, I mean, so it was a big deal, you know. It's like we were a big 6A school, but it's like a small town feel, you know what I mean? And so that just makes it so much fun when you get that support from the community. You know, it was an amazing high school career.
So you said you got it figured out. Light bulb came all the way on your sophomore year. So that's early. That's early in the run. You know what I mean? Because I think most folks would say they probably get it figured out during their junior year. So what's your junior season like from a mental standpoint? Because there's something about having been there and done that.
Well, see, my light bulb turning on may be different than what kids say the light bulb is now. Because when you ask them their light bulb, they would say, oh man, I'll start scoring 20 points. And you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But for me, it was the confidence of my life, because I didn't score a lot, especially my sophomore year. I probably 2-3 points.
Did you have an appetite to though?
No,
Okay.
I hardly
That's
even
the
shot the
difference.
ball.
Gotcha.
You know, my role was to be a lockdown defender. Put me on the best player. You know what I mean? I'll help handle the ball. I'll help get us in the offense. I'm gonna get the ball where it needs to go.
Right.
You know, now my junior year, it stepped up another notch. You know, I think I was averaging maybe 10, 11 points. You know what I mean? But we still had Brian Carwell. We still had the Baker boys, so we had a solid team.
Right.
You know, so it's, hey, I might need to score this game. I might not need to score this game, but I can guard anybody on the floor. You know, I'm gonna get us in the offense, and I'm just a true point guard. You know what I mean?
I missed those.
And so then, you know, we made it to the state semifinals 3 years in a row.
Man.
You know, so yeah, that was tough. You know, but then going into my senior year, everybody graduates, and it's just me and Robert James, 2 seniors. Everybody gone, and we're playing with all freshmen.
Now, when you say, okay, never mind. I was going to say, was there anybody else who had experience at that level besides y'all two?
Man, we played with all freshmen, maybe 1 or 2 juniors but they had never really played.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Their
it
first
was,
year varsity
and even the other senior that was with me, he hadn't played. You know, so I was the only guy on the floor with varsity experience.
Yeah.
You know, and so we ended up going like 500, and I think we maximized everything we could out of that year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Darion Davis was a freshman, and to this day, he's the most talented player I've ever played with.
Wow.
You know, yeah.
You can see that as a freshman.
As a freshman, you know, he and you know, me and him grew up together, and that's a good thing about a place like Sapulpa too. A lot of the players you play with, you grow up from little all the way up. You know, and he always played with us as a youngster, so that wasn't a big deal. I knew he was going to be all right. You know what I mean?
You could tell.
But he averaged like 14, 15 a game as a freshman. You know,
That's pretty dang good.
and I had went up averaging 17 to 18 a game. You know, had really hit my stride offensively. You know, and my goal then was, hey, I got to go get a college scholarship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so so that was fun. You know, that was an up and down year. But we competed every game, you know what I mean? Playing with freshmen, we maximized what we had, and those dudes were talented, but it's hard when you have freshmen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I poured everything I could into that team, you know, just because of how I had been taught in those previous years. You know, David Marshall, who was the point guard before me, he taught me how to run the show.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was in the gym with him, you know. Back then, he had keys to the gym. You know,
Well, you weren't supposed to have them.
We going to the gym, you know, hey, he picked me up, we finna go wash these cars that he getting paid for, and I'm helping him,
Right.
but he ain't giving me no money.
He ain't breaking you around. Pay your dues, young fella.
Yeah, but I gotta pay my dues, you know, but he taught me what it meant to keep the program going.
Yeah.
And to, you know, run the show from the point guard position.
That's pride, man. That's what that is. Like
Yeah,
when
definitely.
you give a damn about this place, about this
yeah.
program. So
yeah.
did your leadership style change much at all once you became a senior, and you know, so a lot of the crop was a little low?
Oh, yeah,
Or was it the
definitely.
same? Okay, it did
Yeah,
change.
more verbal.
Okay.
You know, had to vocalize more because I had freshmen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I didn't have to talk a whole lot when I had those guys that were older than me. You know, I did a little bit, but I was always kind of a quiet guy.
Yeah.
You know, and those dudes, I had the ultimate confidence in those other guys. You know, like I know what he finna do when he
Yeah.
get it. I know he know how to step over and rotate and.
Yeah, what am I gonna tell him?
Yeah, but those younger, like, matter of fact, it's funny you say that because I was just talking to 4 of my players today, and I was telling them about Darion Davis. He was a freshman. We're playing, you know, I used to have that Channel 6 Cox
Yes, sir.
game of the
Game of
week.
the week.
Well, we're getting ready to play Jinx,
Over
Cox
there?
game of the week here.
Oh.
So it's going to be on TV. Well, I get pneumonia, so I've been in the hospital for 3 days. Right.
Leading
And-
up?
leading up to this game. And so I get out of the hospital the day of the game of the week, but they had told me I couldn't play.
Yeah.
Well, I begged my mom. I wasn't even supposed to like leave the house still. Just let me go to the game. Just let me go to the game. I got to support my team, you know.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I had said, when I walk in that gym, I'm going to the coach's office and I'm telling him I can
ready to
play.
So you had a whole
Yeah, I had a whole plan.
whole plan.
Well, I go in there and the coach says, I already talked to your mom.
Yeah, she
you
know.
But in practice, weeks prior, I had been telling Darion Davis, hey, man, when the ball's over here on the wing and you're 2-3 passes away, you got to get in help. Stop turning your back, butt to the sideline or butt to the baseline.
Right.
You know, you'll get dunked on in our league.
That's a fact.
Well, Cox game of the week, I'm on the side, he's in help side, and he turns his back. Deke Thompson runs in, they throw an alley-oop, and Deke Thompson dunks all on this dude's
Just
back in the back.
disrespectful with
Oh, man. And I told you.
I told you what was going to
I
happen.
told you. You know, but that was things I was trying to do in practice was teach those freshmen, you know, those things right there. But, you know, sometimes you got to learn the hard way.
Yeah, man. Trial by fire, man.
Yeah, definitely.
So after that senior year run is over, I know you go to college, but tell me about the journey. What's next? And it's interesting that you said that year that's when you started changing, you know, what you're looking at. And that happened to me too, because I'm like, man, I didn't really think much about what the next level was going to be like until all of a sudden it's like, dang, it's March of my senior year, and I'm looking at my peers. They're getting hooked and booked, signed, sealed, delivered, and I'm like, I'm a free agent right now.
Yeah. Well, I was mad, you know, because I felt like I was one of the better players in the state at that time.
Okay.
You know, because for back up a little bit, my junior summer, going into my senior year,
All right.
that was my first year ever playing AAU.
So that had been your first and your last year then?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I played with the Tulsa Hawks.
Okay.
And at that time, you know, you didn't have all these teams like you do now. It was the Hawks. It was Athletes First, who were your, you know, better teams in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So I was on that team with Jason Parker and Luke Dobbins. Kalina Azubuike was on that team, you know, and Angelo Estes was on that team.
Big time.
Freddie Sanders from Central, or Freddie
Robinson.
Yeah, Freddie Robinson was on that team. Ended up playing at Colorado State, I believe. And we were talented, you know. And here's a story I tell my players all the time. We're playing in California at the Adidas Double Pump, and we're playing the Atlanta Celtics. They're number one in the country, and I'm on the end of the bench, not getting no burn, and I'm mad. I'm not saying it, but in my mind, my mom's working at American Airlines at the time.
Right.
And I'm about to tell my mama send me a plane ticket. I'm going home.
Oh,
My mama not finna send me no plane ticket.
That's the difference between parents then and now.
Yeah,
you might have got that ticket today.
Definitely. And so, but you know, I'm not saying that to the coach or whatever. Where
For sure.
It's 15 seconds in the game. We're down 1. He puts me in the game because we on defense. I pick the kid up full court, steal it from him. I'm going in to win the game. Trips me from behind. I fall. They call a foul on the floor. Takes me out. Puts Jason Parker back in. We got the ball underneath. Runs an inbound play. Parker hits the game winner. We beat him. Everybody's celebrating. I'm celebrating too.
Yeah.
But on the inside, I'm like,
you still
for real?
tight.
Yeah, you know. But I started getting to play after that. You know, I started getting more minutes, and then it ended up starting and being the point because Luke Dobbs and Jenkins Parker could really score it, you know. So
Get
now
the ball out the hand.
yeah, I'm facilitating.
Yeah.
You know, and so I tell them all the time, whether it's 15 seconds, whether it's 15 minutes, make the best out of what you get. You know what I mean? And so going forward, you know, now coming after that summer, I had all the confidence in the world. Like, I'm that dude now.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm averaging 17 to 18. I'm carrying freshmen. You know what I mean? We winning some games that we probably shouldn't win. You know, but ain't nobody recruiting me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And all these other dudes is getting recruited, they signing or whatever. And if it wasn't for Larry Heat, I might not would have went to college. You know, he played at NEO, won the national championship, and so he had that relationship. So he had them come watching me, and they ended up liking me. Lonnie Spencer was my coach at NEO. He came to watch me play against Owasso, and I think I had 22 points. You know, they had Richard Hardman, who I think he ended up playing at maybe ORU. So he went D1 somewhere, but he's 6'6", could go. Here I am, I'm 5'9", guarding him. You know what I mean? But like, I got to do what I got to do.
That's right.
You know, and I'm like, man, I play well. You know, he here watching me. I knew he was coming. I play well. He walks up to me. He goes, you could have done more. And I'm like, for real? You know?
Man, you gonna give me that?
Yeah. But long story short, I ended up going to NEO because he came back, his assistant came and watched me. And that was the only school that was on me. You know, I had got some phone calls like, hey, we want you to come work out and all of that. I never went to go work out. When NEO offered me, I said, I'm coming. You know what I mean?
That.
Like, I didn't even know what the recruiting process was like.
Right.
You know what I mean? Nobody was really telling me like, hey, this is what you do. This is where, you know, my parents didn't go play college athletics or nothing like that, so they didn't know.
They didn't know what to tell you, what to prep you for.
Yeah, so people weren't telling me like, hey, no, you should go work out here or go check this school out. NEO offered me. The coach came to my house. My mom put one of them good home cooked meals on him.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably why he offered me.
That's right. When the meal's on, we're going to get him right.
Yeah, but once they offered me, I was like, all right, I'm ready. I'm going. And then once I got there, you know, I hadn't even took a visit there or nothing. Like, I don't need to know what it looked like.
Don't matter.
You know what I mean? I just want to go play basketball.
Straight up.
You know, once I still want you to come down, work out, and all of that. So I did, and then he started using me to recruit the other dudes. Alfred, I don't know if you know Alfred Neal, played at Muskogee. Alfred Neal came down. Hey, Bruner, I need you to make him your best friend. You know, I got you, coach.
Oh,
you know,
don't you worry about it.
Yeah, I must didn't do a good job because he didn't come.
Oh,
but they didn't have track. You know, and he was a high jumper, had the state record, but then he came back the next year. So I said, Coach, that was me. You know?
Yeah. I may not have got him when you wanted him, when we got him now.
Yeah, so yeah, and I've kind of always kept that chip on my shoulder because I felt like, you know, I didn't make All-State. I feel like I should have made All-State. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I feel like some schools should have been looking at me that didn't look at me. You know, and to this day, I still have that mentality. You know, my high school coach, James Womack, he was my assistant coach. When I started coaching, he told me, he goes, man, you coach with a chip on your shoulder. He goes, always keep that, you know. And that's one thing I still do. If you see me coach, I can get fiery, you know, and all of that, but I'm just coaching with a passion because I always still have like that underdog mentality. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. It's like they ain't giving it all to me.
Yeah.
Even though you might be getting it, don't matter.
Yeah,
so you got to trick yourself into being that way.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, what do you make of? I think I heard Gilbert Arenas say that he thinks a lot of the best coaches that used to play were players that were maybe a tier below being, you know, those ones. Mm-hmm. And he gave a description as to why he believed that. He said those top level guys, those upper echelon talented guys, usually don't have the patience. Mm-hmm. You know, and they're looking at somebody else. It's not coming as naturally to them as it is to them.
Yeah.
So they ain't got time to be messing with.
That's true.
But somebody who had to, you know, battle through the trenches as a player, they can identify with that. Yeah. So to that, you would say what?
I would say I agree with that. Mm-hmm. You know, now there's some great coaches that were great players, but I think a lot of your great coaches were those second tier players. You know, because you had to push through, you had to do the extra.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You weren't talented where you could just walk in the gym and be better than everybody. You know what I mean? And I did have to spend time learning this move or learning how to do this. I couldn't shoot, but I stayed in the gym. I went to this camp and learned how to shoot so I can teach you that you can get there if you put in the work. You know what I mean? Which some of those talented guys, like, they might have put in some work, but it ain't the same level as a guy like that I had to do.
Yeah.
You know? And I think too, coaching, you know, like I think it's a great fit here at Sapulpa for me, not only because I'm from here, but it's a blue collar type town. You know what I mean? And it's that second tier where no, people don't think we as good as Union or Jinx or whatever, you know, but we are. You know what I mean? But we have to do this to be there. You know, we have to do this to get there. We have to work harder than everybody else. You know, one of my phrases all the time here that I got when I was coaching middle school was refuse to be outworked. You know what I mean? And that's something we still go by here. You know what I mean? We're going to refuse to be, we're going to work harder than everybody else. We have to. You know what I mean? Everybody's not just running over here to come. You know what I mean? But they will when, you know what I'm saying, we get where we need to go.
That's right.
You know, but
program will sell itself.
But yeah, I definitely agree with that quote from Gilbert Arenas.
So tell me about that junior college grind, man. I always love to hear junior college stories because I'm a product of it, and man, it's a different type of grind there, man.
It's the hardest grind out there.
Yeah, yes, sir.
You know, but it'll make you or break you.
Yes.
You know, I know the first 2 weeks after I was ready to go home. You know, I mean, we on the track at 5 a.m. You know, you at breakfast check at 7:30. You got to go to class. You coming back for guards working out. Then you got practice, and you don't have to lift weights, and it's just, and you don't have the resources that you get at the Division Ones or the Division Twos, And then I was brought up anyway to like, don't go see the trainer.
Yeah. Right.
Like don't go see it. So like I had my own ice bucket in my room.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then when like the facilities was great anyway, where you're going there and getting this top-notch treatment in JUCO, and you can't miss practice because it's so competitive that if you miss practice, your position is gone.
Oh. And it wasn't secured anyway.
Yeah, and it wasn't secured anyway. So I'm gonna have to practice hurt. You know what I mean? I'm only getting on this bus to go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, and we call them box nasties. We got a box with a cold sandwich, what I'm saying, with cold cheese, maybe an apple and a piece of gum, and that's your pregame meal.
Wow.
On the road. Now at home you got a little box of chicken with maybe 2 pieces of chicken in it, and shoot, we thought we was eating steak.
That's right.
But just that JUCO grind, man. But it makes you tough. Once you get done, make it through JUCO, it's nothing that can break you. You know what I mean? And I tell my players about JUCO all the time. And there's talented players. People knock JUCO all the time.
Yeah, it gets a bad rap for some reason.
Yeah, it gets a bad rap, but man, it's high level basketball. And it just makes you better. That grind of it, it's every day. It's every day. But I wouldn't replace it for the world. It helped make me the man that I am today.
Did you find your footing in your first year, or was it tough sledding for you?
Oh, it was tough. The speed of the game when I first came in.
Right.
Like here at Sapulpa, we didn't play fast. You know what I mean? We ran a lot of 1-4 high stuff and execute. We had bigs, get it down low.
3 out, 2 in, baby.
Yeah. And so then when I got to college, it's up and down. And what I thought was pressure defense wasn't pressure defense. We talked about him earlier. JoJo Knowles was a sophomore when I got there. Greg Nash, he was player of the year. He was there. He was an incoming freshman. We had this cat named Chris from North Carolina, looked just like Tayshaun Prince, that could jump 1 foot in front of the free throw line, dunk it, put you in the post, left hand, right hand, 6'6". We had a 26-year-old grown man from Brazil named Fabio, who comes in and shows us pictures where he's playing against Shaq. And I'm like, oh man, and I'm 17. Yeah, I graduated. I'm August 31st. So we there like first part of August, and I'm still 17, and here come a 26-year-old grown man. Man, I should have got held back.
Man, that's junior college for real.
But it was, so I had to adjust to the speed of the game, and just the grind of everything. I was on the bench my freshman year, about halfway through the season. But the other part about JUCO is, and so my cousin Larry's taking me, riding with me when I'm going to NEO. You got any advice for me? He goes, don't quit. Is that it?
That's it.
That's it. Just don't quit. Well, I need some better advice than that. That's what I'm thinking. But that season goes on, dudes start dropping. Yep. After 2 weeks, dudes was dropping.
That's how that goes, man.
And so I'm just staying in there. I'm steady grinding, steady working, steady doing my thing. Only time I'm getting in the game is at the end because I can handle the ball. I can shoot free throws. Okay. So if we up, you know what I mean?
I got you. Yeah. I can close this for you, Coach.
Yeah. But long story short, last 10 games, I'm starting because guys are getting in trouble. Whether it's grades, whether it's off the court issues, guys ain't there no more. Next thing I know, I'm the starting point guard. My freshman year. And one thing that I pride myself on is I never miss practice. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get there and I'm going to work hard as I can. And my teammates always love to play with me. That's
the ultimate vote of confidence right there. When your teammates love to play with you.
Yeah,
that tells the whole story.
Yeah. So it was a big adjustment. But going into my sophomore year, I done figured it out. I'm in the best shape of my life. You know what I mean? It's nobody that can come in here because they always try and bring somebody in to come play. They bringing a little guard from Ohio. You ain't finna play over me. Shoot, they bring Jonathan Blewett in.
Yeah. Who can go?
Yeah, who could go, and who ended up having a great career. And that dude came in. My college coach goes, "I want you to go out to eat with us." I ain't going. He's a point guard. I'm not taking him out to eat.
Straight up.
Bruner, I plan on playing both of y'all. You ain't giving me the okie doke.
Yeah.
I'm 5'9", 5'10". He's shorter than me. That ain't finna. You're not finna do that. That was my thought process.
So you had some game early on there.
Yeah, and so long story short, he made me go with them out to eat.
Right.
But I ain't saying nothing. You know what I mean? We go to and here's where it came in, like your teammates liking to play with you.
Right.
When he came in, I'm dogging him out.
Yeah.
And my teammates is all over him too because they don't want him there. You know what I mean? Now it worked out for him. He ends up going to ORU, you know, and playing it. And shout out to him. I talk to him to this day. He a great dude. But every time I seen him play, I was mad.
Man.
I should be playing D1 too.
Right,
you know?
right.
But you know, NEO, man, it was great. You know, NEO was great, man. It taught me a work ethic. You know what I mean? That I still use to this day as a coach.
How long did it take for you to get over that homesick feeling? Because I know what that feels like, man.
Oh yeah. It wasn't long for me because I had a car and I'd drive home in the middle of the night and come back the next morning.
That's exact. And you in my head because I was gonna ask you, were you mobile when you went out
yeah.
there? That's the biggest cheat code, man. Go to school with a vehicle if you can, please.
Yeah, I had a car, so it wasn't nothing for me to drive home after a practice or something and get a home cooked meal. My mama would take care of my laundry for me.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I come back with all the groceries. I'm emptying everything. You know, my roommate, he had to love me because I was coming back with all the food.
Yeah, bring him on.
You know, so yeah, if I got homesick, I just drive on home.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Were your parents always happy to see you when you got home, or was it ever some of that, boy, stay your ass in school?
My mom was always happy to see me. My dad, boy, you can stay on up there, you know. But for the most part, they was always happy to see me, and they was at pretty much every game. You know, like I said about
even when you were sitting.
Yeah, even when I was sitting, they was there.
That's
like
dope.
I said about my mom earlier, she would feel bad for the kids. We would get our chicken at home games, right? Mm-hmm. And it would be a line of students standing out there when we walk because we had to go get it from the boosters and shake hands, you know, all of that stuff. And our coach would be like, "Don't y'all get that chicken away. You can give it away when you get back over there to them dorms. Do not let them boosters see you give that food away."
Yeah.
You know, and kids would be standing outside. You want your chicken? You know it's college. You ain't got no money. You broke.
Nobody
you hungry.
does.
My mom sees this, so she starts frying chicken, and she got chicken in little baggies, and she's passing them out at every home game. And your mama coming to the game? Your mama coming to the game? Because she just giving chicken to everybody. I mean, she coming down there with hundreds of pieces of chicken.
In front of the boosters?
In front of everybody.
Oh, that's corporate America. She the undercutter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, but yeah, man, that was NEO.
Man, shout out to your mom, man. That's a beautiful thing right there.
Oh,
dog.
yeah.
Just that's just being caring.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
but she didn't have to do that.
Definitely.
And so no wonder your teammates loved you.
Yeah.
So once your sophomore year is over with out there, you got another stop to make.
Mm-hmm.
How, when, where, why? Break it down to me, man. How'd that process
So
go?
my sophomore year, Middle Tennessee State comes in. You know, and again, this is the first time really that I'm getting attention like this, so it felt great.
Yeah.
You know, Coach Spencer comes in practice. Hey, you got a coach in my office want to talk to you. Me? You know.
Sure you talking to the right guy?
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, he want to talk to you. So I get in there, and first thing he looks at me, the coach, he goes, "You like girls?" Yeah. Hey, well, it's like 10-1 at Middle Tennessee State. You know, you trying to sell me on it.
That's a hell of an icebreaker.
Yeah, you know, and but man, I really like your game. You know, you got like a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. You know, things like that, man. We're really interested. We're gonna be coming back to watch you play. You know, and so I never knew how it worked anyway.
Right.
So okay, I'll go to Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm playing, and I get hurt towards the end of my sophomore year, ankles. You know, and it was probably like one of the worst ones I had because I had rolled my ankles all the time. I'd tape it up, play through it, or whatever.
The same one or both of them?
Both of them.
Oh, man.
Yeah, both of them. But you know, I just knew how to play through that stuff.
True.
Well, my coach sits me towards the end, trying to get ready for the playoffs or whatever. And
Load management.
Yeah, you know, their region tournament though, especially if you like that, like you said, that second tier where the coaches are there at that region tournament. Mm-hmm. So I know I got to put on. You know, I got to go play. Well, I didn't talk to my coach for a long time after because he played me, but he was still a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. And I'm like talking to my assistant coach, Coach Jim Rowland. You know, and he was our assistant coach at NEO on the boys' side when I was there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and Coach Rowland, tell Coach Spencer I'm ready. Like he got to play me. I'm ready. They didn't believe me, you know. So I'm playing a little bit, not playing a little
like
bit.
Spot minutes.
Yeah, and so I feel like I didn't get my opportunity, you know, and so I never heard from Middle Tennessee State again. So then I go, I get a call from Central Missouri State, Division II, and go down. They want me to come down, work out, play or whatever. I go down there. They put me in a hotel. taking me out to eat, you know.
Did your parents go with you, or this is just you by yourself?
Me and Sam Ferguson. He runs Big Sam Productions.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I know you're talking.
He was at NEO with me. Me and him, that's how me and him became like really good friends. And so he goes down there with me, you know, and we down there, they take us out to eat, they put us in the hotel. Yeah, you the guy we want. You know, we play 10 games. I go 10-0. You know, making shots, playing well. I'm like, man, I want to come here. Like, campus is nice, you know, all of that. And, hey, we're going to call you in 2 weeks. You our guy. I don't hear nothing. You know, I go to my coach at Central Missouri State, like, I'm trying to go there. You know, well, now they decided to go with somebody else. Which y'all not going to tell me? You know what I mean? Like, so I end up going to Missouri Southern as like a recruited walk-on. And again, I don't know how stuff worked. They want me to redshirt. Well, I'm looking at the point guard they got. I'm better than him.
Yeah.
You know, but he was about to be a senior. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want a redshirt. And so I went home. Yeah, went home, got a job here at Sapulpa as a para. And I got one kid in a wheelchair that I got to take around to his classes. Super smart. You know, I got to take him around to his classes. I got to write for him, do stuff like that. You know, we got to take him to the bathroom.
Right.
Me and my cousin, Larry Heat. And so
he's been a part of your journey every step of the way.
Yeah, and so every day around 11:30, we got to take him to the bathroom. And here's one of the reasons I got so much respect for para special ed teachers and all of that. You know, take him to the bathroom. We got to get him up out of his wheelchair. I'm on one side, Larry on the other. Pull his pants down, strap him on the deal. He does his thing. We come in, pull his pants up, put him back on his chair.
Right.
Well, one day, we must have got there late or something.
Oh, man.
And we pull dude's pants down, and he just starts going everywhere. I run out and leave Larry in there by himself. Boy, and Larry ain't really no cusser.
No.
Man, that dude cussed me out, you know. But that day, I got online, and I seen Bacon was having a tryout, and I said, I got to get back in school. Because I was working out with the high school team every day. I was helping Larry. I was volunteering with his 8th grade basketball team. And so I figured out I want to coach. This is when I figured out I want to coach.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Once you done playing, though.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. And because he had a kid named Connor Tucker. Connor, 8th grade, he could go. He ended up playing D1 at like Georgia Tech and a few places. He ended up moving to Texas, didn't finish high school here.
Gotcha.
But they went like 16-2. Just watching the way Larry did things, it was so much fun. You know, and I said, I want to coach, but I know I got to go get this degree, and I'm not going to get the degree without basketball. So I drove down to Bacon tryout, went out there, hooped. The coach knew who I was, you know, and so I ended up going to Bacon to play, you know, and played down there for 2 years. It was great. You know, we ended up being ranked top 25 for the first time in their school history since they had went from JUCO to NAIA. You know, and we had some talent down there. You know, and it was fun. Played for Coach Foster, Alan Foster down there, and had a good 2 years. You know, met my wife there, you know, and things like that. But I wouldn't have been the player because I played pretty well at Bacon. Like that's when I got hit my stride offensively. Was more aggressive. You know what I mean? Was scoring. Yeah, I was a complete player, and I was older too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now I'm like a grown. I'm looking at the end now. You know what I mean?
And it's closer. You closer to it than the beginning at that point.
Yeah, and so, but I wouldn't have been the player that I was at Bacon if I hadn't went to NEO, because the work wasn't like it was at JUCO at all. You know what I mean? And no knock to Bacon, but it was different. You know what I mean? But I was like, man, like we got to get up and go work out. So we going to the rec, Muskogee rec, because the gym wasn't open.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because this is what I did at NEO. We going to run. We going to lift weights. We going to do this. You know, it's a court outside. Let's go get it. You know what I mean? Because that's that JUCO. Like,
that's right.
You got to work. You know. So, but had some good years at Bacon. Ended up staying on the extra year as a student assistant. And got to go on like some recruiting trips and things like that.
Was that by choice or you were asked to?
Well, I hadn't finished school yet, so I had some academics I still had to take care of.
Got you.
So did that so I could still get my school paid for, you know what I mean, and still stay a part of basketball, and that was a lot of fun too. And then came back home and ended up getting a job at Tulsa Rogers.
Started coaching, man.
Yeah.
So, and that was is that when you were helping Jimmy over there?
Yes. Yeah, I was helping Jimmy, man. I was actually working my dad's job that he's working now because my degree was in recreation management. And he, you know, great, like I said, great parents. He tells me I can take his job and he'll go out in the field and mow lawns because it's a job through the city of Sapulpa, you
Really?
know. And so I think that's the way I am now, as far as I'll do anything for my kids and sacrifice.
For sure.
You know, he been here for years. He's sitting back in the air, you know what I'm saying, and
Yeah,
all this. And he
climate
gonna go
control.
out in the heat and cut yards so I can take his job. And because I got a degree and he don't, they paying me more than what they paying him.
Wow.
Yeah, he been there for years, and as I'm working this job, I don't know what I'm doing, and so, and I'm asking his boss,
Right.
the guy that's up there with me, he don't know.
So
And
you confiding in your dad.
So they're telling me, oh, you got to call your dad. So every day he got to leave the field to come up there and show me how to do stuff, but I'm still looking for coaching jobs, you know.
Man.
Jimmy calls me,
Yeah.
you know, I get that job, and so I told my dad, I said, hey, you need to tell them they need to pay you more, you know, because they don't know what they're doing. They can't do this without you. You know what I mean? So he gets a raise. I go over to Rogers, you know what I'm saying, and get to work under Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy
and,
Walker the third.
Yeah, and me and him still tight to this day.
Yeah, man. It's crazy how the things happen. You may or may not been getting ready to say this, but you were on his staff at Rogers. Fast forward some years later, he's on your staff over here at
Yeah,
Sapulpa.
oh yeah.
So how was y'all's working relationship?
Oh, it was great. You know, man, Walker's a great coach.
Yeah.
You said it earlier, like he will coach everybody. He'll do the things that everybody doesn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and having him when he was here with me as an assistant coach, because he was my head coach, you know, and I was his assistant, and having him here, like I would be like, man, I need to get this done or something, and Bruner already got it done. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you know, and then being his assistant was great, man, because that was my first head coaching job. Learned a lot underneath him. You know what I mean? And he kind of got that same mentality and that work ethic. You know, we're going to grind. We're going to go get it done. We're going to do anything to help these kids. You know, so I learned a lot at Rogers. You know, we had some good kids there, man. And I spent 2 years there with him, you know. And years later, when I get the job here, he called me and like, Bruner, you need an assistant, I'm ready to come be your assistant. You know, that was a no-brainer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I got my dude,
Yeah.
you know.
Come on out here and make it happen.
Yeah, and so, you know how it is, man. You just got to surround yourself with great people, and he's definitely one of those guys.
Okay, so was that your only stint as an assistant before you became a head?
No, I was at Rogers for 2 years, and then I came here as an assistant
know that part.
under Coach Womack.
Ah.
Yeah. Now, I was still teaching in Tulsa,
Right.
and that's just that sacrifice of that grind, man. We was practicing at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning here. So I'm driving from Tulsa here to be at practice at 6, going back to work in TPS, and then driving back over here at 2 o'clock for 7th hour practice.
Yeah.
You know, and I did that for a couple years, but then no positions ever opened up. So I was like, man, I can't keep doing this, this driving, you know, and things like that. But
Something got to give.
so then I got trimmed from TPS because I was one of the newest hires. And so I got sent to Jackson Elementary. I was there for a year.
Oh, that's it.
Then I got trimmed from there and got sent. I spent some time at Wilson Middle School. And when I was at Wilson Middle School, I was coaching here. And then I got sent to Jackson, and then I ended up at Monroe. And I was at Monroe and William Penn at the same time. So William Penn, you know, is elementary, and it's right by Monroe. And Monroe had been shut down, and it was just reopening. And I didn't know anything about Monroe, and I'm calling, talking to people, and they was like, "Oh man, you do not want to go to Monroe. That's a terrible school."
All that.
And I loved it, you know. And when I got the job there, they were adding sixth grade only. And then the next year they were going to add 7th grade. Next year they would add 8th grade till they got up to 6th, 7th, and 8th. And the first year the principal comes in and he had some bad experiences, and he was like, "I'm not having athletics." And I'm like, "What?" You know, like, this is going to be a terrible year if we don't have athletics. And I just stayed on him. So he let me start a 6th grade basketball team. Boys, no uniforms, no money, $0. Ain't nobody giving me nothing. So I give my players, I give my parents, and we have a fish fry.
Yay.
You know, I make flyers. We walking through the community. You know what I mean? Hey, come to the fish fry. Come to the fish fry. We'll deliver it to you. You know, we make $1,700, and we able to go purchase us some uniforms. We get in the TPS league, and we win it. You know,
All in that same year.
all in that same year. And the next year we add 7th grade. you know. And oh man, I had kids in 7th grade dunking the basketball, and you
Those
know,
type of
oh man,
athletes.
I had some dudes, you know. And
Well, hold on, coach. Before let this thought slip. Okay, so once you have that level of success that in that first year, did you win your principal over? Did he start to buy in at that?
oh yeah,
Okay, good.
oh yeah. But see, he left after the first year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he was from Tennessee or somewhere. He went back home, and we get a young principal comes in named Kiana Smith, and she was from Atlanta, Georgia. She had played Division I basketball at Savannah State, HBCU,
Okay.
and she was great. I was coaching 7th grade boys and girls at the same time, like probably breaking all kind of rules, to be honest with you. I mean, because the gyms was like right there. You know,
Right.
it's a hallway, gym here, gym here. I'll get the boys started, run over here, get the girls started on the drill, go back and forth. But we were all on the same. My principal, when she would get done at the end of the day, she would come down there and help run practice in her dress.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You know what I mean? And
That's invested right
yeah,
there.
and then I got one of the dads to come help. You know, we were just doing whatever we needed to do to help these kids. You know, and I would end up becoming the athletic director at Monroe, and started the football team. You know, started a soccer team. You know, and I didn't know nothing about soccer. I was like, hey, we gonna run the 3-man weave. You know,
It's got to translate. right?
yeah, but had great kids. I mean, we were doing things with them that they hadn't done. You know, matter of fact, I put them in a Lone Star tournament here. It's a feeder school out here, Lone Star, that goes K-8. Went to the Lone Star tournament. You know, put them in a couple AAU tournaments, and just like trying to get them out
build it.
there and show them, you know, what's out there a little bit. You know, and won a couple TPS championships. You know, that team I had that was in the 7th grade. Man, I had 2 kids dunking the basketball. The guards could play. You know, some of them ended up going on to have good high school careers. You know, and the plan was I was gonna stay with them 6th, 7th, 8th, get a high school job, and they was all gonna come with me.
Yeah.
You know, that was the plan. But that wasn't necessarily guaranteed. You know, and so the opportunity for me to, I had to apply for a couple high school jobs, trying to get those jobs. Well, everybody kept telling me, well, we want someone with head coaching experience. Head coaching experience. Well, I applied for Tahlequah, not even really wanting the job, to be honest with you.
Right.
And they call, I go to the interview, you know, they call back, and they want to hire me, and I get nervous.
Yeah.
You know, and if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't have went. You know, she's like, no, we're going.
You going?
You know, we're going. And
You were gonna turn it down, huh?
I was gonna turn it down, you know, and but I didn't want to leave those kids, you know. And
got you.
oh man, when I told them, they cried like babies. I cried like babies, and this is a school
Yeah.
that I didn't think I wanted to be at. You know what I mean? But love that school to death to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't say nothing bad about Monroe to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Them kids will do that to you, man.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, definitely.
So, how was it your first year being a head coach for the first time? And you know, I remember how it was for me. I wanted to be hands-on and do everything, man.
Oh,
And I had
yeah.
to- I don't even remember, but at some point I figured out my shoulders ain't that dang big. But how was it for you?
I was nervous.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't really have a mentor. You know what I mean? That
That's
showed
key.
me how to do things.
Right.
So everything that I was learning was on the fly. You
Yeah.
know, and like you said, I'm trying to do any and everything by myself. You know what I mean? Doing this and doing that, and really not knowing what I'm doing. But I'm learning. And David Qualls was my assistant coach, so he was
Qualls
good.
good dude, man.
He knew some things because his dad had been a coach. You know what I'm saying? He had been an assistant coach, so, and he was from Tahlequah, so he kind of knew how things, you know, worked there. But it was a job where I was the 4th coach coming in 4 years. The 3 coaches before me had been one and done. You know, and people were telling me, well, man, these parents, they getting the coaches fired and all this. The good thing for me was I didn't know anybody. Like, I didn't have well, this is why I got this job at Tahlequah or nothing. And I think that's why they hired me as well. You know, they wanted somebody to come in. So I had
Some new blood, so to speak.
yeah, I had a kid, Britt Dobbins, who is the judge's son. You know, and the Dobbins is a big family in Tahlequah. And, you know, people telling me, oh, man, you got to watch the judge and all of this and that. And, man, that dude was like running concession for us and doing, you know, I just had a good relationship with all of them, but it was because I had a good relationship with their kids.
There you go.
You know, and so I didn't really have those issues, you know what I mean, that some of the others had. And I don't know who you are, and I don't care who you are. I'm going to play who deserves to play.
Yeah.
You know, this ain't no.
the right way to do it.
Yeah, you know, this ain't no because of who so-and-so is, you know. And so it was a great experience in Tahlequah. You know, we didn't win very many games my first year. I think we won like 4 or 5. Second year we went 7 or 8. You know, the third year we got it going. You know, and I'm finally like, you know, okay, this is what we're working towards. You know, they know how I want to play. They know me. I know them. There's a trust factor there. You know, all the things are like kind of lining up to how I want them to be. And then I get suspended for half the year, for the rest of the season, halfway through the season.
That I honestly never knew that. I didn't know that till just now. What in the hell happened with that? As much as you want to dive into it.
Oh yeah, well, I'll be honest with you. Me and my athletic director didn't have the best relationship. You know,
I mean, like throughout your whole tenure, or things got sour that year?
More sour that year.
Okay.
But I was the guy that came in and asked a bunch of questions and maybe ruffled a little bit of feathers just because everybody did what they were told to do. You know, and I'm trying to maybe do something a little different here.
Right.
You know, but long story short, man, I'm young. I'm new at being a head coach. I play a freshman in a freshman festival, right? And was told that they didn't count as a tournament. You know, you only get 3 tournaments.
Right.
So then
Festival, that's a 2-day joint then. 2 games, right?
Yeah. And so I'm thinking it didn't count.
Right.
So, and here's a kid that I didn't know if he's going to be straight varsity, straight freshman. So then he becomes a straight varsity player. So I play him in 3 varsity tournaments. The day we leave the Catoosa tournament, you know, they come in and they're like, hey, we got a problem. And I'm like, well, what's the problem? You played them in too many tournaments. No, I didn't. You know, well, we're going to self-report. What does that mean? You know, I'm naive to all of this.
We're going to tell on ourselves.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, well, what's going to happen? Oh, they'll give us a slap on the wrist, you know, and just tell us not to do it again. Okay, cool. I get a call the next day, need you to come in. And they tell me, you've been suspended for the rest of the year. And I'm like, what? And I'm looking around like, is somebody about to jump out and be like, you've been punked?
Yeah, are you joking?
Know? Yeah, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You know, well, we got to appeal it, you know. And, well, those people are tough to deal with and all of this and that. Okay, and? You know, so I'm talking to, you know, I'm trying to go through the right protocol, you know, talking to the right people. Finally, I had to take it upon myself, you know what I mean, to start making the phone calls I needed to make. And why am I getting the harshest punishment? You know what I mean? Like, I've looked at the rule, and there's 3 different punishments. I'm getting the harshest one. I haven't done anything. I ain't never been in trouble. I ain't never made a mistake like this. You know what I mean? Well, we were notified that you were told that you couldn't play that kid. Really? So now I'm thinking, it's time for me to go.
Yeah.
But, and this is how God works, nobody's going to hire me and I have a 12-game suspension, right?
True.
And so when we lose in the playoffs, and you can't tell me to this day that we weren't headed to the state tournament that year. You know what I mean? But then when that happens, and the way everything was done, it just messed up the flow of everything, you know? And the head coach ain't there no more.
Right.
You know, my assistant coach has done what they could do.
Yeah.
You know, but it's still different.
It's still, yeah.
You know? And so I'm like, man, I want to get out of here, but ain't nobody going to hire me. And because when we lose, I still got 2 games left to serve. So wherever I go, I got to sit out the first 2 games. Nobody's going to hire me, you know. Well, if I back up a little bit, Jason Parker had called me that year. And I had talked to him. And
he had become the AD over here,
He had
right?
become the AD. And he goes, well, why don't you come be Conley's assistant? This was before I got suspended.
Right.
And I thought about it, you know, and going towards the next year, you're talking about, man, you should come be Conley's assistant. I was like, man, I don't work too hard to become a head coach. You know, well,
that means something.
When he's done, it would be your job. When he gonna be done, I don't know.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And then things change. So, I appreciate it. But so then when I get suspended, you know what I mean? All that happens, you know. Well, Conley ends up leaving and getting a Booker T job. So now I'm calling like, hey, you know what I mean? And
what's happening?
And if you know Jason, me and Jason really good friends. Super professional to the utmost. So he not gonna talk to me like we boys.
Right.
You know, hey, fill out the stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we'll look at your resume. We'll get back with you.
He give you the professional talk.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm like, but before that happened, like, man, I'm down in the dumps.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't coach my team. I had been told that I couldn't practice them, that I couldn't go to the games, none of this. But when I started doing my own research and my own phone calls, that wasn't true. You know,
Which part? Not being able to.
not being able to practice them and not being able to go to the games.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I couldn't coach them down there on the bench.
Right.
And so I think they thought like I wouldn't want to do that. Well, I know I didn't do anything wrong. I just done what I was told I could do. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna sit in the stands, and it was hard. You know what I mean? Like feel like everybody looking at you, whatever. I'm gonna coach them every day. You know, I'm gonna drive to the game, and I'm gonna be there. You know what I mean? You can't be yelling at, so I'm,
Okay.
and there was a guy, he was the youth pastor down there, and he came and sit with me every game. You know what I mean? Every game, because he knew
Love
that
that.
had to be hard, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And his name was Mr. Scraper. I forget his first name, but he was the youth pastor right across the street from the school. He come sit next to me every game, just try to put me at ease, you know what I
Right.
mean?
That's
but
hard,
but I was like, man, I'm not gonna run from it because I just made an honest mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
Nothing egregious or underhanded.
yeah. But through all of that, you know what I mean? Like my wife was trying to take care of me because she knew I'm crying and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You hurting.
Yeah, like this is what I do. This is what I love to do. But through all of that, then Jason Parker calls me. You know what I mean? I get the interview and I get the job to be able to come home. And I love Tahlequah.
Yeah.
But this place right here, you know what I'm saying? This is home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was able to come home. I'm able to work here. My family's here.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's great people here. I got great kids that I coach. And so I tell people all the time, when bad things are happening, it just means something good's right around the corner. You know what I mean? Because that was one of the hardest times that I had went through in my profession. And then right around the corner, I got blessed big time. So.
Stay faithful.
Oh, yeah.
So how's it been being back over here? You just finished your 5th season. You're entering your 6th season at the helm over here at your alma mater, and you've had some good teams during this time too. Class, what y'all were 5A 1 or 2 seasons
We were.
so far?
This is year 2 being 5A.
Okay, year 2 coming up.
Just this last year was the second year.
So you've been stomping with the big dogs, man. So from a competitive standpoint, what's the difference in being here at Sapulpa versus when you're at Tahlequah?
Man, the biggest difference is the support that you get. There's great people in Tahlequah.
For sure.
But here it's just a whole nother level of people that want you to be successful. You know what I mean? That they're rooting for you. Like,
Right.
and it's genuine. You know what I mean? From the coaches, from other coaches to the administration, you know what I mean? To the student body. Like, they're gonna root for you, they're gonna get behind you. You know what I mean? So that was the first thing that I noticed. And then I was blessed to come in with some talent. You know what I mean?
That's helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And I was able to bring in the coaches that I wanted to bring in. David Qualls was a great assistant.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And he's running a heck of a girls program at Tahlequah. Me and him are still friends to this day. But to be able to go get my guy, Jimmy Walker, you know what I mean? I hired Rod Hall. You know what I mean? Those are guys, all the coaches that I've had are guys that I have brung in, so it's the ultimate trust. You know what I mean? And it's guys that, like, I don't try to bring in people that are just like me. You know what I mean?
I got you. I know what you mean.
Me and Jimmy gonna argue. You know what I mean?
Jimmy started arguing in an empty room, man.
Yeah, and so, but that's what I want. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's gonna push you that sometimes may know more than you know. You know what I mean? In certain aspects or vice versa. But that was big too, to be able to bring in your own coaches. And then, I had talent. I had Julian Smith, who's the all-time leading scorer here. I've coached Cameron Dennis. I've coached Jackson Skipper. I've coached Jay Duncan. We've had 12, 13 guys go play college basketball in the last 4 years.
That's beautiful.
And then those guys just bought into everything that I was selling. And I didn't think it would be that way. I'll tell you a quick story about Julian. And he's the best player I've ever coached, like hands down.
Yeah, that kid can play, man.
And
He can still play.
yeah, Cameron Dennis may be more talented,
Right.
but Julian, just as far as that, that dude that you have that's just like, I got the utmost trust in this dude right here on this basketball court. First day I see him, he's walking down the hall, first day of school, he got his hood on his head. He moving slow, he
Right.
doing, and I'm like, my first impression, I'll be honest,
I'm
is
having a problem with this
I'm
kid.
having a problem with that dude. Me and that dude ain't gonna click.
Yep.
Because I've done my research. I've even talked to Conley Phipps about how he done things because they were having a good year the year before. So there's some things that I'm gonna continue to do. You know what I mean? And but they didn't go to the track and run in the heat. They didn't do those things that JUCO life, you know what I mean, that I'm bringing. So I'm like, man, these dudes gonna hate me, you know. We get to the track because I'm watching Julian and walking down the hallway. It's early in the morning. He looked tired. I'm like, okay, here we go. I got to break this dude.
Yeah.
We get to the track, man, and that dude turns it on. What's next, coach? What you want us to do? Everybody, let's go. Come on, one more. Let's get an extra one in. And I'm like, hold up. Who is this kid?
Nothing like what I saw in the halls.
And then I had been told that he don't play defense.
Right.
Well, I'm a defensive coach, you know. Well, he don't play defense, man. This dude is picking people up full court. He's flying around. He's talking. You know, Coach, I need to shoot extra after practice. Coach, can you take me over to the West maybe? Coach, I need to go here in the gym. And I'm just like, man, I love this dude. You know what I mean? And he was just that kid that, like, if Michael Jordan would have came in here on game day, he thought he was finna beat Michael Jordan.
Yes, right.
You know what I mean? And so it fed into everybody else. You know, and then we had guys like Eli Williams, who was the best two-sport athlete in the state. You know what I mean? My second five was just as good as my first five. Now, that was my second year.
Yeah, I remember you were playing them in fives at
Yeah.
one time.
Oh, yeah. And so, but it's been great here. You know, my first year, we started off 12-2 and ranked like top 5 in 6A. And Julian goes down with a knee injury, and we struggled the rest of the year. But again, it's one of those kind of blessings in disguise. I feel like we were going to the state tournament that year. But the other guys along with him weren't good enough yet.
Right.
So now when he gets hurt, they all get better. And that's why we have the year that we have the next year, because now I got 10 dudes that can go. You know, Cameron Dennis comes in and sacrificed. Julian's averaging 26. You know, him and Cam can both go get 30 when they want, and they both average 17 because they make the sacrifice because there's 8 other dudes on the team. You know what I mean? And you're talking about just fun. Like, it was so much fun. Coaching, our practices were more competitive than our games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Jimmy would tell me that.
Yeah. And, you know, and we could, they were super respectful. You know what I mean? We could push them to the brink, you know, and they would always respond. You know what I mean? And so, and that's what you love in coaching. And it wasn't just Julian and Cam. It was the 10th guy. It was and what made the team was the 12th and 13th guy that didn't play, but were the biggest cheerleaders on the team. You know, Isaac Smith, we called him Big Red. You can look on YouTube right now. We beat Booker T when they had Bryce Thompson in them, and he's on the sideline just, let's go. And you can see the look on his face like he's locked in.
He meant it.
You know what I mean? And Jamel Bruner, who was my little cousin, who could play, but just was that dude that wasn't good enough to get a lot of minutes, but pushed those dudes in practice every day. You know what I mean? Like, those were the guys that made that team special.
Need those guys.
Yeah.
Everybody plays a part.
Yeah. And then coaching Jackson Skipper the year after that. You know, he was coaching him for 2 years. You know, he's probably who he just signed with University of Vermont.
Yep.
You know,
Saw it on Twitter.
And he's probably the biggest kid I've had as far as going from his junior to his senior, the biggest jump. You know,
Game just grew exponentially.
Just grew, and he's 6'8" now, and he can shoot the 3. He can take you off the dribble, you know, and he led us to a state tournament. The team with Julian, so we've been to 2 state tournaments since I've been here, and some of the funnest, the most fun memories of that is, like, you know, when you're going through a season, you're totally locked in.
Oh yeah.
And you're blocking out everything else.
Nothing else matters.
And we get to the state tournament, and I hadn't looked up all year, and I happened to look up, and we're at Catoosa, and we're playing Edmond Memorial, and the whole gym is wrapped around in blue and white, and Edmond Memorial just has this one little section, and like the whole community's out, you know, and that's the special thing about Sapulpa right there. Like, you're bringing together all races, you're bringing together the young, the old, they're together, and they all behind you. You know what I mean? That's like the best feeling in the world. You know what I mean? Like, for those guys to go out there and play as hard as they can, and for the crowd to cheer as hard as they can for them, like, man, it just gives you butterflies.
No, no matter the venue, home or away.
Definitely.
Y'all making every venue home.
Definitely. So I've been blessed, man, to coach some great kids, to have some great parents, you know, great administration behind me here, and it's just going to continue to get better and better.
Salute to it, man. I got 2 more things I want to throw at you. Your hobbies, Coach. Whenever you are out of basketball mode, if such a mode exists for you, man, what could you be found doing in your downtime?
With family, probably playing Uno.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we play Uno all the time. Uno, maybe some Monopoly. some spades.
Oh, y'all get busy over there at the Bruner household.
Cooking and eating.
Yeah.
You know, I throw down on the grill a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, matter of fact, my son just had a birthday and everybody was over, man, and I hooked up like 15 steaks on the grill.
Oh, you're not playing then.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So,
Took a little something from moms, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe playing the video game with my son a little bit. He be kicking my butt in 2K. We trying to take up fishing a little bit.
Right.
You know, because my son likes to fish, so he trying to turn me into a fisherman.
Oh,
you know?
snap.
And one of the coaches here, Coach, shout out to Coach Tim Beecham. He's been here a long time, you know, and he's a big fisherman. He was like, man, take that boy fishing because you'd rather have him fishing than doing something else, you know. So let him pick that up as a hobby, you know. So maybe doing a little bit of that, bowling, but mainly hanging out with family, man, and you know, spending time with the ones that I love.
That's hard, man. And you said it like it was just a few things, but you named almost about 10 things. So yeah, you got your time filled up pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Now, here's how we're gonna wrap it up, man. I want you to think back. Tell me about a team that beat you, whether you were coaching or playing that shouldn't have beat you, and then you really want to get back if you can get it.
Booker T.
Booker T, huh?
Booker T.
Oh man.
The year I had Julian. Well, it's two. It's Booker T and it's Edmond Memorial. If we beat Edmond Memorial, I got a ring. I just know it.
You just feel it.
You know, I know it. But the first one, Booker T, because those games were so much fun.
Yeah.
You know, they had Bryce Thompson, they had Trey Phipps. They had the two big guys. One of them was at UCR. Seth Hurd. I mean, they were loaded. You know, and so were we. You know, and we were we beat them at their place.
Oh, yeah, y'all split in conference.
Yeah, and if I don't make a couple bad decisions, we beat them here. You know, we up. And I pull it out, probably 2 minutes left. Should have probably kept going, kept the foot on the gas.
Right.
We missed some shots, they come back and beat us, but I felt like we were better than them. You know, man, I know we were better than them, but I ain't taking away nothing from them. They won the state championship that year. You know, but then Edmond Memorial, because I wanted the Booker T matchup in the state championship.
Yeah.
You know, I just felt like we were better than them, you know. And so we get to Edmond Memorial, and in hindsight, I didn't know at the time. Well, they had 4 Division I basketball players on that team. You know, when they beat us, Sean Padula was a sophomore.
Yeah.
JVC was a freshman. They had 2 big kids. One of them went to Texas State. I forget his name, and one of them went somewhere else. You know, and so I'm like,
well, in hindsight, like, well, all right.
Yeah, but I had Division I caliber players too. You know, and in that game, we shoot the ball because one of the things we did all year was we want to try to get more attempts than you. Right. You know, we play super fast. We pick you up 94 feet. We trapping, we pushing, and we shooting that thing in about 7-8 seconds. You know, we shot the ball 25 to 30 more times than they did that game, and lost. You know.
Wow.
And
mathematically, that don't happen.
Yeah, when I went back and looked, and I was like, if you would have told me that stat before the game, we move on. You know, but that was our first time there. You know what I mean? And just. My player, like we dress super fast, coaching staff. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now as you go through those experiences, you know what I mean? You get used to it, you calm down a little bit, you know what I mean? But probably those 2 games and a Lawton Mac, you know, because they beat us in the state semis. And you always look at that stuff.
Over there at Owasso.
Yeah, over at Owasso, you know, and I'll say that, you know, COVID, COVID was going at that time or, you know, whatever. Well, I always have said, I want to get to ORU. Because, you know, that first round state tournament game will be
at a sub-site.
Yeah, and then that second round is usually always at ORU.
Yep.
Well, because of COVID, ORU didn't do the second round, so we played at Owasso. Well, you know how it is when you ain't got no wall behind the goal.
Yeah, that depth perception different.
And Lawton Mac was a 3-point shooting team, and they hit all those threes that game, and I was like, man, if that game was at ORU, they don't hit all them threes.
That's being a nerd for the game, all the details.
All the small details, man. But yeah, man, that was a couple games I wish I could have back. But we've been right there, man. We've been, you know, had some good teams, man, and we got some good teams going forward, you know.
Well, you know I'm gonna be peeping and watching from a distance, man. Rooting for you, cause you 6'8". Y'all getting ready to be 5'8", right?
Yeah, we're 5'8".
5'8", we 4'8", so we ain't gonna cross paths. So that means good luck to y'all, brother.
Yeah,
all love
y'all as well,
for sure. And we're gonna drop this to the people.
I appreciate it.